On a cold August day in 1632, in the quiet English town of Rington, a child was born who would one day change the course of human thought. His name was John Locke. Born into a modest Puritan family, young John grew up in an England torn by political and religious turmoil. His father, a lawyer and small landowner, instilled in him a deep respect for law and governance values that would shape his future philosophical inquiries. As a child, Locke was bright and curious. He attended Westminster School, where he excelled in Latin, Greek, and rhetoric. From there, he went on to study at Christ Church, Oxford, but he found the university's rigid scholastic curriculum uninspiring. Instead of dwelling on medieval philosophy, Locke turned to the works of contemporary thinkers like René Descartes and Thomas Hobbes, whose ideas on human nature and government fascinated him. Locke's journey took a pivotal turn when he met Lord Anthony Ashley Cooper, later known as the Earl of Shaftesbury. Serving as Shaftesbury's physician, Locke gained first-hand experience in politics and governance, eventually becoming a key advisor. However, political shifts in England forced him into exile in the Netherlands, where he wrote some of his most influential works. When the Glorious Revolution of 1688 established a constitutional monarchy in England, Locke returned home to witness the realization of many of his political ideals. Until his death in 1704, Locke continued to refine his theories on knowledge, government, and human rights. His legacy would go on to inspire revolutions, from the American Declaration of Independence to the French Revolution, forever embedding his ideas in the foundations of modern democracy. Locke's philosophy: knowledge, government, and freedom. Locke's philosophy is vast, but it can be distilled into three central themes: epistemology, theory of knowledge; political philosophy; and human rights. 1. The theory of knowledge, tabula rasa. Of Locke's most revolutionary ideas was the concept of tabula rasa, the belief that the human mind at birth is a blank slate, free of innate ideas. In an essay concerning human understanding, 1690, Locke argued, "Let us suppose the mind to be, as we say, white paper, void of all characters, without any ideas. How comes it to be furnished?" To this I answer, in one word, from experience. Locke believed that all knowledge comes from experience, divided into two sources: sensation, external perceptions, and reflection, internal thoughts. This empirical approach challenged the prevailing rationalist belief that humans are born with innate knowledge. His theory of knowledge also introduced the distinction between primary and secondary qualities. Primary qualities, such as shape and motion, exist independently of our perception, while secondary qualities, such as color and taste, exist only in the mind of the perceiver. This distinction laid the groundwork for later philosophical debates on perception and reality. 2. Political philosophy, natural rights, and the social contract. Locke's political theories laid the groundwork for modern democracy. In two treatises of government, 1689, he argued against the divine right of kings and instead proposed that government derives its legitimacy from the consent of the governed. He famously wrote, "Men being, as has been said, by nature all free, equal, and independent, no one can be put out of this estate and subjected to the political power of another without his own consent." Locke introduced the concept of natural rights: life, liberty, and property. He believed that individuals have an inherent right to these freedoms and that the role of government is to protect them. If a government fails in this duty, the people have the right to overthrow it. These ideas directly influenced the American Revolution and the U.S. Declaration of Independence, where Thomas Jefferson echoed Locke's principles, his social contract. Theories suggested that people voluntarily come together to form a government to protect their natural rights. Unlike Hobbes, who believed that an absolute ruler was necessary to prevent chaos. Locke argued for a limited government that operates through laws and the consent of the people. His ideas directly inspired constitutional democracies worldwide. 3. Religious tolerance and freedom of thought. Unlike many thinkers of his time, Locke was a staunch advocate for religious tolerance. In a letter concerning toleration, 1689, he argued that no government has the right to impose religious beliefs upon its citizens. He wrote, "The care of souls is not committed to the civil magistrate any more than to other men. It is the truth that must be allowed to spread and convince the mind." Locke's belief in the separation of church and state was groundbreaking and continues to shape discussions on religious freedom today. He opposed forced conversions and supported the idea that religious diversity was essential for a free society. 4. Economic thought. Property and wealth. Locke also contributed to economic philosophy, particularly regarding property rights. In two treatises of government, he proposed that property is a natural right derived from labor. He stated, "Every man has a property in his own person. This nobody has any right to but himself. The labor of his body and the work of his hands, we may say, are properly his." This idea became fundamental to capitalist economies, influencing later economists such as Adam Smith. Locke believed that wealth should be accumulated through labor and that the state should protect private property while ensuring that resources remain accessible to all. Locke's influence and lasting legacy. Locke's ideas transcended his time and influenced some of the most pivotal moments in history. The American founding fathers drew heavily from his writings, particularly his views on government and rights. The Enlightenment thinkers in France, including Voltaire and Rousseau, found inspiration in his defense of liberty and reason. Even today, Locke's philosophy underpins liberal democracy and constitutional government across the world. His words still resonate. The only fence against the world is a thorough knowledge of it. John Locke's legacy is not just one of philosophy but of action. His ideas sparked revolutions, transformed governments, and continue to shape the freedoms we cherish today. His thoughts on knowledge, government, religion, and economics remain relevant, proving that his influence is as strong in the 21st century as it was in his own time.